So, Erev Tov. We start the Parasha after Matan Torah, after God gave the Jewish people the Torah, straight going into the details. And not only the details in general, is going to the laws that are, you can call them the reasonable laws. There is in the Torah three kinds of laws. There is Chukim, Eidot, and Mishpatim. Chukim are the laws that are the law. This is the law. Not more, not less, meaning you don't understand so much. Every law there is something to understand, but we're talking about laws that are from the beginning that you're not supposed to understand all the details of the law. They are not there. There is the laws that they, not only that you understanding them, you can do them before, even without the Torah, because they are so reasonable. And there is laws that they are something new from the Torah, but after God explained, we understand. And I will give examples. There is the laws, for example, not to steal, not to kill. There are laws in the Torah, and there are people doing it even without the Torah. Those laws called Mishpatim. There is laws that called Eidot. They are how you say Eidot?
Too late?
Yes, too late, huh? They are giving us to see what God saw in them. Meaning, God, for example, telling us to do Pesach. Why? So He's explaining, I want you to remember the beginning of everything, that you become a nation. So these are edut, means like two people coming and explaining us, and then we see the story that they're telling us in their vision. So the same thing with those mitzvot, God explaining us, and we understand what is the purpose. And there is mitzvot that they are laws you don't understand. Those are the mitzvot that mainly the example is about the mitzvot that connected to being pure and impure. You don't understand why this is pure, what this is not. No reason. Actually, with the corona, a lot of people find similarity between the laws of pure and not pure. You know that from the distance between a person that you want to stay pure and you don't want to be impure from dead. So we need to stay 4 amot. Have a social distancing of 4 amah. 4 amot, it's 2 meters.
2 meters, yes.
And if he become impure, so he need to go outside from the camp to be there for 1 week. So with the corona, people find similarity, and there is actually a lot of interesting details. But this is just okay. So the Torah starts with the mitzvot that they are simple, they are reasonable, they are connected to the laws of between people, laws that connected to persons, between two peoples. How are you calling those kind of laws? In Hebrew, it's called ben adam lachavero, between a person to his friend.
Civil laws.
Civil laws, good word. Okay. Why God start with those after Matan Torah? So we can say, we in the 2 tablets, we had 5 in each side. The first 5 were connected between a person with his God, and the other 5 was connected to a person, to be civil. And God telling us that first of all, He gave us the Torah that we should be normal people observing the Torah. The Torah is going inside to your own simple life. It's not something that connected only to when you're going to synagogue. It's connected to all details of life. So the Torah starts with the life itself. Okay. So let's, as usual, we will do some review on the parasha. And by the way, we'll try to, actually I wrote at home, but it stayed at home. So I'm trying to remember what I wrote. In the parasha, there is a lot of details because the Torah going subject after subject. And you can really see the review and the view of the Torah on a lot of subjects. What the Torah think about things, about simple things. Let's start with the first subject that the Torah starting, and it's really interesting. What is the first mitzvah that God explaining to the Jewish people after giving the Torah? The mitzvah of slavery. Slavery. You are both mute. I don't know why you are on mute. I didn't put you on mute. That was the CIA. Okay. So all the laws connected to slavery, this is what the Torah starts. And it's really interesting. This is what God choosing to start with slavery. Let's remember 1 second to who God talking to. God talking to a nation that was slaves for 200 years. They were slaves for 200 years. They suffered killing and suffering in all kinds of ways because they were slaves. A nation in slavery, it's something unbelievable. Yes. What is the first thing that God telling the Jewish people? Laws connected to slavery. What about some? Wait a second. You're talking to them. Maybe this is not the first thing you need to say. Maybe the first thing you need to say is something else. It's something not connected to slavery. Something that will put their minds in another place. It's an interesting question. So there is some explanations that saying the opposite. Because they were slaves, so God telling them laws that connected to slavery to tell them, you are not there, you are free people. Because what are all the laws that the Torah giving us about slavery? The Torah not recommending slavery. The Torah giving laws what will happen if a person will be a slave. Why he would be a slave? There is 2 reasons. Or he selling himself, just decided to sell himself because he think it's good, he can work, he can be a good servant, and this is the deal that he's doing. And there is a person that stole a lot of money, have no money to pay, so the Jewish court can decide that they selling him. And the Torah, in all the laws that the Torah giving, the Torah doing the other side, telling how it's hard to a Jew to have a slave in his home. Because he need to give him food and respect. And if the slave have a family, he need to give all the family food. And if you cannot treat the slave less that you treat yourself. It's one of the laws. If you have a good bed, the slave needs to have bad as you. If you have a heat in the room, the slave cannot sleep at the cold. So a person that buying a slave, the Talmud said, a person that buying a slave is basically buying an owner. He's not buying a slave, because all of the details. So there is some saying commentary on the Torah that's saying that the Torah came to tell the Jewish people, you will not be slaves anymore. Another thing that is very important to know, that all the slavery in the Torah, a person cannot be slave to his life. There's no such a thing. Person, if he chose to be a slave or the court sold him, so in working until the Shemitah, the 7th year. In the Shemitah is going out. If he really wants to stay, he wants to stay. So we're doing a mark on his body, and he's staying there until the Jubilee year, the 15th year. Not 50 year from when he entered. 50 year, we know that the Jewish calendar is a cycle every 50 years. What is the mark that we're doing?
From the year 1.
It's what?
The jubilees.
Yes.
From the year 1 starting?
Yes.
For the year 1. It's 50, 100 and so on.
Yeah. No, 50 and then 50 and then 50. It's not. We're not counting. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're doing mark on this slave in his ear. Why? Because Rashi is telling on the Torah, because this person chooses to be a slave, and this is something that the Torah doesn't want. The Torah wanted that every Jew that heard in Mount Sinai that you are God's slaves, you cannot choose your other owner. And what does that mean? It means that the Torah wants a person to be free, that he will serve only God, it will be his own life, and he will serve God. But this person chooses to be under someone else, and this is the Torah doesn't like. Okay. These laws are connected also to the details of a father can sell his daughter to few years. Also the same idea in the 7th year. And the Torah gives a lot of details about the treatment that the slave deserves. Okay, after that, we have laws of between civil laws about two people fighting. If two people fighting, how is working the payment that a person need to pay for the other one about what he did to him?
Eye to eye and...
So it's very famous quote, eye to an eye, hands for a hand for a hand. Yeah. And it's very interesting. First of all, let's talk about the idea in general. A person that let's say broke his friend's arm, he needs to pay 4 kinds of payments. First of all, he needs to pay about the repairment, the treatment, the medicine. Second thing, he needs to pay about the pain. How we measuring pain? So there is a way. The Talmud say that the way is very simple. You're going to a person in the street and asking him, if I give you $50, you will cut I can broke your arm? He'd say no. $100? No. $1,000? No. $2,000? Okay. So this is the payment about the pain. There is, and then you need to pay him also about all the recovery days that he is not at work. So if he is a professor and he's taking 1 week vacation, so 1 week. But if he is a garden and now he will take until full recovery of his hands, so it can be a few months. And there is also payment about how you say about the my head doesn't, you see what's going on about okay, we will need to translate this. There's no chance. One second.
Maybe for domestic help, no? That's not
What is domestic?
like providing
This is the same. This is the same. The medicine. Yes. This is the first thing. And we're talking about shame. My head is not working. About the shame. If a person, let's say you broke the prime minister's nose, so he now we have a shame. And who broke the nose is also connected. If the prime minister broke his nose because the president gave him something, or some crazy person broke his nose, so who is more shaming the prime minister? Depends. It's changing, so it's also changing. נזק צער, ריפוי, שבט בושת. Okay. We said everything. Now, let's go to the quote, eye for an eye. This was one of the biggest, let's call it, issues or argument when we talked about laws according to the Torah and laws, how the Torah shebe'al peh, how the oral Torah explaining written Torah. In written Torah, if you will read the verses without any explanation, you would see how the Torah said, eye for an eye. What is eye for an eye? Eye for an eye. If you did something to a person's eye, we need to do the same thing for your eye. God forbid. And in the oral Torah, in the Talmud, we find a lot of proofs that this is not the meaning of the verses. This is not the meaning. The meaning of the verses is money. If a person broke another's arm, he need to pay him money about the arm, the worth of an arm. What is the worth of an arm? The same thing. Going to the market, and there is 2 people there, 2 slaves. 2 slaves. The same size. One is with 1 arm and one is with 2 arms. The difference in the prices, this is the worth of an arm. Okay?
The discount, amount of discount.
Yes. So the question is very simple. Why the Torah needs to write eye for an eye if you're paying money? If the meaning is money, why we need 3,000 years of people telling us you explain whatever you want. You didn't like the explanation of Torah, so you have your own explanation. Why we need that? Why the Torah need to tell us eye for an eye? So there is a nice idea that I heard this week that a person that touched another's eye and make him blind, God forbid, this is despicable thing. It's the worst of the worst. The Torah cannot say a money for an eye, a money for a hand, money. The Torah cannot say those words. Why? Because eye is not money. Hand is not money. Foot is not money. Eye is an eye. It doesn't matter how much you will pay him. The Torah cannot compare the eye to $50,000. It's not. It's something that the Torah will not do. Eye for an eye. This person that did such a terrible thing, he deserved it for himself. This is what the Torah will not tell us, your body worth this and that. Even though there is worth. There is. But the Torah will not say that. Because the Torah valuing every organ as a part of a human body. And this is, the Torah cannot say. So the Torah telling us, if a person touched the other one's eye, he deserved the same thing. But the Torah letting us know that because the Torah will not tell to the court to do the same thing because it's not educational, it's not worth anything, the other one is not having. So there is the final punishment is the money. Yeah, okay. The idea is understandable. Of course, this is what the Torah meant from the beginning, that the punishment will be money. But the Torah told this law in a different way, in a way that we can understand that the worth is not the thing itself. The thing itself is something else. Actually, the Rambam saying in his book of laws that we saw this law not only from the Talmud. This is how they did in the time of the King David, and the time that he heard it from Prophet Shmuel, that he heard it from in the court of Yehoshua bin Nun, the student of Moshe. He also did like that. I mean, this is a law that we got from Moshe. It's not something, a person, the Rambam saying, a person that's saying that the words of the Torah simple meaning, eye for an eye, is arguing with Moshe. He's not arguing with the Talmud. He's arguing with Moshe himself because Moshe never meant it like that. Okay. After that we have laws, a lot of subject of laws that I need to remember. There is laws, first of all, as you see, there is subject. There is the slavery subject. There is between people. Oh, now we're going to the laws about a person that need to keep guarding his money, to guard his worth, his properties. So if a person have an ox, this ox go outside to the street, running out and breaking some things, he need to pay the laws of the Torah. He need to pay half.
Sorry, Rabbi, ox is in Yiddish, right? It's Yiddish word.
No, in English.
It's not
No,
also
in Yiddish the same. Actually, we call it.
yes, in Yiddish is the same. Yes.
No, therefore I'm saying Yiddish is the same. Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
I think also in Russian, no?
No,
I don't know.
no.
No?
No, it's the same in Yiddish. Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
So, I remember from it.
So, but if this ox doing this repeatedly 3 times, it become a different kind of ox. This ox become an ox that is regularly doing it. So if he breaking some things, the owner needs to pay full price. And there is many details that connected to this interesting law. If someone sold his ox after 3 times, the ox staying the same, or now we counting from the beginning? Why would we count from the beginning? So there is few reasons. Maybe the ox doing it because this is the environment of the place. Maybe when he moving apartment, so his nature is changing. It's a very interesting subject. There is laws about thieves. A person that stealing needs to pay double. And if he stole some a cow and he sold it and they make from that already food, so we need to pay double of the double. And there isn't many details. I would say another idea of laws that the Torah talking about this parasha. Those laws that I'm talking to you is every law is few chapters in the Talmud, few dozens of pages that they are beginning for many commentaries on the Talmud and books in Shulchan Aruch and everything. It's very and there is 3 kinds of loan, of people that can keep the loan or to guard something, let's call it. If it's called in the Mishnah Arba'at HaShomrim, 5 kinds of guardians. I don't know. If a person give to the other one something to keep his phone, for how long? For a month. And he is not paying the other one, he's doing him a favor. So the laws about what the guardian will need to pay if the phone was broken, it depends. If the phone was broken because I didn't kept it well and the dog of the house took it and ran out and throw it to the, I don't know. Yes? So you need to pay. But depends what kind of guardian I was. If I'm paying him to guard my phone, to keep it, so the laws are more harsh. Even if someone stole it from my home, I need to pay because I took responsibility. I'm getting paid for that. And if I took it for my own use, not only that, I'm using it. So even if something really strange happened, came the wind and took the phone from the house and broke it, also I need to pay. So there is many interesting laws about that. And there is in our parasha another laws that's not connected to the subject. There is laws about the court, how important is the Jewish court. There is laws about respecting new person in the neighborhood. It's called ger. Ger is not a person that convert to Judaism. It's a person that is foreigner. To respect the foreigner, to respect also the orphan, and much of those laws. There is one interesting law that we will talk about. This law it's the law. Shemitah is in our parasha.
7th year, yes.
Yes. The Jubilee year.
Jubilee year, yes.
Yes, the Torah mentioning it. You're right. The Torah mentioning it about the slave.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe about more things. I don't remember now. Okay. There is very interesting law about a loan. If I'm giving let's say Reuven gave Shimon a loan for 1,000 euros. Shimon is very poor, unfortunately. And Reuven telling Shimon, "Hi, how would I know that you will pay me?" So Shimon telling Reuven, "I will give you something of mine, and you will keep it until I'm paying." What you will give me? So Shimon telling him, "Honestly, I don't have anything to give you. I have only my own night clothes, pajamas. This is what I have. I have my pajamas." So Reuven said, "Okay, I will take your pajamas. I will take it." Okay. Came the night. Reuven going to sleep. Shimon also going to sleep. The pajamas is in Reuven's house. So the Torah telling Reuven, interesting law. In the night, bring back the pajamas to Shimon.
Of course.
Of course, you're saying. So you're right. From one hand, what?
Sorry, and in the morning take back again.
Oh, so now is the question. It's a very simple question. From one hand, of course. I mean, you just taking from him his pajamas. He have nothing to give you. From the other hand, what do you mean? Now I am the keeper of his pajamas in the days. It means that when sunrise, I'm running to take his pajamas. When sunset, I'm running back to give him back the pajamas. So who loaned to who? I mean, it's a game. And not only that, he will never bring back the money because he have his pajamas. Reuven coming every sunset to bring the pajamas. It's so there is a question. From one hand, what's going on? So I heard a story about this, not about this, but something that there was a person, a Jew. His name was LaGuardia. You know about the airport LaGuardia in New York? So LaGuardia was mayor of New York. And he was Italian. And his mother was from a house, Orthodox Jews, strong Orthodox, strong Jews. And he came to New York and he became the mayor of New York. And one night, the time was pretty bad, and he was going there, and he came to the court, he came to the court, and he told the judge that he will be the judge today. You know, he had this power to be the judge instead of the judge. So he's sitting in the court, and the first case is what? An old lady accused that she stole piece of bread or bread from the store. And he asking her, "Did you stole piece of bread?" She said, "Yes." "Why did you stole?" So she telling him, "I have a daughter. My daughter was married to someone. He left. And she was left with 2 kids. And they have nothing to eat. So I stole from the store." I will tell you, by the way, unfortunately, there was now at Israel was how you say it? They showed in the news of Israel that there is people that now going to the supermarkets and taking, and they talking with the owners of the supermarket, and they letting them go. The situation bekitzer, as they saying here. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she telling him, this is the reason that I stole the bread. My daughter need to eat, and my grandson. So he telling her, of course you know that the law here in New York is if you stole something, you need to be 10 days at arrested, or you can pay $10, $1 to a day, and you will be free. So of course she doesn't have the $10, and she cannot be. So LaGuardia doesn't know what to do exactly. To put her in jail. For what? They don't have what to eat. So first of all, he taking from his pocket $10. Giving her, this is $10 for you. And then he asking from all the people that sitting at the court, please give, everyone needs to give 10 cents to this woman. Why? This is payment that you need to pay that there is in your city grandmother that have nothing to give her children, so pay her. I think she had from that something like $47. This is the story. There is the details. It's very... And everybody was proud with this judgment of LaGuardia. Why? There is two sides here. The law you need to keep. There is the law. If you're right, you're right. But if this person doesn't have pajamas, go give him his pajamas. What do you want? What are you doing? Yes? Why? How are we seeing it so much? The Torah, really interesting in that law, in our parasha. The Torah telling it, the Torah usually not explaining laws. Not explaining. The Torah can tell us, you're doing it to remember Yetziat Mitzrayim. Because I created the world in 7 days. When the Torah telling us to respect the judge, the Torah not telling, because I wanted to respect the judge, because, no, the Torah doesn't say. Of course, not to steal, not to kill, the Torah don't explain why. Here the Torah telling us, because this is his clothing. This is what he have. And when we go to sleep, he will cry to me, why he's a human and I'm a human. Why he have and I don't have. And I will hear what he's saying. So bring him. Here the Torah telling us, you're right. In the day you need to be capitalist. Until the end. In the night, stop being capitalist. Now it's time for a little bit socialism. Everybody needs to have what they need. No one can be more because he's right. Doesn't matter. There is a story that with the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe. The previous Rebbe. That he was in the train. And in that time, when two Jews were met, what they talked about, not about iPhones, they talked about socialism or capitalism. What is the Torah? The Torah is more socialist or more capitalist? And we talked about it once. And as we know, Jewish people were in both sides, but in socialism were very, very strong. Because at the paper, socialism is one of the dreams. We know that a lot of Karl Marx and what was his name?
Friedrich Engels.
Yes, and there is the Russian
Trotsky.
Trotsky.
Leo
Yes.
Trotsky.
Yes, he was Leibale. He was a Jew. Yeah.
The real name was Bronstein, but he was Trotsky by
Yes.
nickname.
So why Jews was strong in socialism? Because the Torah, there is laws that reminding us very much about socialism. The fee of community, every community needs to have a fee to give to charity. Every person needs to give, and if he's not giving, the court can force him to give. There is strong power to the community. But from the other hand, the Torah always talking about what someone owns and how he owns and how much he owns and what is the ways to own. And there is poor, always the Torah talking about the poor. So there is two sides. So they're arguing, and the previous Rabbi hearing that, and then they came to the previous Rabbi and asking him, what do you think? So he's saying, the previous Rabbi said, that in every system there is good side and there is bad side. There is good side, of course. A person needs to work for his money. He needs to put himself in that. This is to be his personal goal. From the other hand, there is problems because person need to always take care about everything that he's in contact with. He cannot say, I'm right, I'm stronger, I'm smarter, that's why I have more. It cannot work like that. You have responsibility. So the previous Rabbi said there is many sides, and the good side of every system is coming from the Torah. Because in the Torah, when we're looking on the laws of the Torah, there is always two sides, and many sides, not only two sides, there is more. Because the Torah is always taking the good side, giving the good side, and then every system came with the good side from the Torah that it took. Okay, this is a few ideas about our Parasha, from very long and detailed Parasha. There is many interesting things to learn. And about the slavery that we started with, it's very interesting that the Torah, one of the explanation, as I said, is because the Torah wanted to tell the Jewish people that they are not slaves anymore. But the Torah also wanted to tell the Jews slavery is not something, you are slaves of God. What does that mean, to be a slave of God? It's more accurate, it's to be a servant of God. When a person doing something because he thinks is better, or in that moment he thinks is better, this is a slavery. This is slavery. A person needs to do something because this is himself. This is your own self. And the Torah telling what is slavery. In the beginning of the mitzvot, what is slavery? Slavery is a person that doing something because there is some other reasons. There is reasons that took you to a place, and because of that you're doing this. This is slavery. How can we say that we are not slaves if we have 613 mitzvot? Because those things are yourself. They are not something from a side that you have no choice. Everybody is doing that, so I'm doing it. This is slavery. If a person going to a diet and is not eating after 7 o'clock, so he's slave because he doesn't eat. No, in the morning he will feel much better. He will feel healthy. He will feel that he's the strongest guy on the planet. Yes, because he decided something and he did it. So he's slave? No, he did exactly what he felt. And the Torah just letting us know what you are feeling inside in every second. You don't want to steal, and you want to remember God, you want to remember your mission on the world. So slavery is a person that he stole and he doesn't have a way to live, so it's something that's coming from the sides. A person that is learning Torah and is connected, he is not slave. Why? Because he's doing something that he is himself. It's a long subject, but just that we will have the point. Have a good night and Shabbat Shalom.
לילה טוב.
לילה טוב.
טוב, תודה.
בבקשה.